Yeah, they said he was suicidal, and he started talking about he wanted to bring a Bible with him or some shit.
Foolio's killers? Man, they losing it for real. One of them straight up collapsed in court after the judge hit him with that heavy life sentence. And the rest? Let's just say they ain't holding it together neither. But here's the real tea. Was it just the sentence that broke him down? Word in the streets is they scared. Like, for real scared. Folks saying Foolio's people already waiting on the inside, ready to handle business. Y'all know I got all the details. Let's break it down. Courtroom chaos from fearless to finished. It was supposed to be just another sentencing, but what went down in that Florida courtroom on a hot, sticky June morning? Man, it left even the bailiff looking shook. The whole room went dead silent when one of Foolio's killers straight up collapsed. Body limp, hit the floor hard. Right after the judge hit him with life without parole, his mama screamed. The dude started bawling. Another co-defendant just sat there staring at the wall like he finally realized, ain't no coming home, not ever. But the wildest part? The one accused of actually pulling the trigger tried to fire his own lawyer and rep himself in a death penalty case. Yeah, you heard that right. This man's staring down a needle and thought he was the best defense in a courtroom built to bury him alive. But before we show y'all the collapse, the full breakdown of a cold-blooded killer, you gotta understand what led up to it. Because this ain't just about courtrooms and sentences. This about Julio Foolio, real name Charles Jones. He wasn't just some rapper. He was one of Jacksonville's most controversial, most feared voices in the streets. But let's not forget, he was still somebody's son. On June 22nd, Foolio was in Tampa, just trying to celebrate his birthday. By the early hours of June 23rd, he was gone, gunned down outside a hotel in what police say was a straight-up ambush. 3 men, moving like shadows, allegedly followed his every step through social media and GPS. When they caught him slipping, they let loose. At least 31 shots tore through his car. That wasn't no shootout, that was an execution. Surveillance footage later showed it all. 3 shooters creeping across the parking lot, rifles locked in, ready to squeeze. Foolio was sitting in the front passenger seat. He ain't even get a chance to run.
Look at this video. This is at the hotel, and you can see the shooters are getting in position for their planned out murder, and they are shooting at Charles now, and you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee. And again, they're still shooting at him. He's the right front passenger in that vehicle.
These dudes weren't stupid. Nah, they were calculated. They had been watching Foolio real close. They knew where he was headed, had the whole night mapped out. One of them? Word is he was cool with Foolio's ex. And the other? A young girl named Alicia Andrews, pregnant at the time, was allegedly tailing Foolio all night. She followed him from club to club, moving like a spotter in some military mission, sending text after text to her people, dropping his exact location. Thing is, they weren't even seasoned street vets. Most of them barely out of high school. Just kids caught up in grown man beef.
2 guys, 1 girl. The girl's pregnant currently,
No.
which makes it even crazier. One of the guys, when they were arresting him, I guess he had a gun to his head. Did you hear this whole story?
Yeah, they said he was suicidal, and he started talking about he wanted to bring a Bible with him or some.
This crew, they range from just 18 to 30 years old, but they're being accused of pulling off one of the biggest rap murders we've seen in a minute. And now, the trial's going down right now. Some of them staring down the death penalty, and trust, the state ain't playing with them. Prosecutors already said it. They seriously considering taking it all the way. Lethal injection, no mercy.
These are all signs that things are gonna go very fucking bad for them. Like, you got a girl in it, she's pregnant, he's suicidal, wants a Bible. It's not going good.
Not going good for who?
For the killers.
Now here's where it gets even darker. One of the main dudes, Rashad Murphy, he wildin', fired his own lawyer. Yeah, this man is facing a first-degree murder charge that could end with a needle in his arm. And he told the court, I got this. They warned him, judge, lawyer, everybody told him not to do it. But Rashad wasn't trying to hear it. He filed for a speedy trial and straight up asked to rep himself. On top of that, he wrote up these handwritten letters to the judge saying they treating him like he's already guilty. Said he couldn't make no phone calls, couldn't send no letters, couldn't even get access to his legal papers to prep for his own defense. He was begging the court just to let him see his documents. Some folks think it's a strategy. Others, they say he's already cracking under pressure, folding under the weight of what he's accused of doing. And honestly, the evidence stacked up against him is looking real heavy.
It's not like they're going to get off for this.
No, they got so much evidence against them. Like, when you go through it, you can pretty much just, all right, pick a prison. Where do y'all want to go? It's just not, you can't even come up with a defense for them.
Investigators weren't playing either. They came with receipts. They got Ring camera footage showing the suspects loading up rifles into duffel bags, moving like they was going on a mission. They pulled GPS data from the suspects' phones, tracking every move Foolio made that night, every stop, every turn. They even uncovered text messages between the crew, talking about the hit before it even went down. And the shell casings they found at the scene, they matched the guns that were sitting right in the suspects' homes. It's looking airtight.
They found bullets in that kid's house. They found one of the murder weapons. They found bullets matching from the shooting scene. This kid kept collectibles from the case, like mad inside of his house.
As prosecutors started laying all this out in court, that pressure, it finally broke somebody. One of the defendants, sitting just feet away from Foolio's grieving mama, collapsed. Now, the cameras ain't catch it, but folks inside the courtroom said dude fell clean out his chair. He was shaking, gasping, mumbling, "I can't breathe." Was it fear? Was it guilt? Or was it that moment when it finally hit him? He might spend the rest of his life in a cold concrete box. Nobody knows for sure, but what is clear? The wall's closing in, fast. Let's stop right here for a second, because this ain't just about gang retaliation or rap beef gone sideways. This right here, this about how the internet done turned real-life death into digital content, where disrespecting dead ops is just another way to boost streams, where moms out here scrolling YouTube only to find songs making fun of their child's murder. Foolio did it to others, and in the end, the others did it to him. This cycle, it's deadly, and now it's cost 6 people everything. 1 man dead, 5 more facing life, and one of them, she pregnant. That baby might grow up only seeing their mama through glass. And we're not done. The evidence trail, it's even uglier than anybody expected. Turns out one of the suspects might have accidentally exposed all of them, just for a little bit of social media clout. So how did we even get here? Prosecutors say this wasn't no heat-of-the-moment thing. This was a coordinated, calculated hit. They say this started long before anybody pulled up in Tampa. We talking surveillance, group chats, out-of-town travel, multiple whips, and big rifles. This was planned like a mission, and it all started at home. Footage shows Rashad Murphy, Davian Murphy, and Sean Gathright packing up bags big enough to stash full-blown rifles, right in a regular neighborhood. What was in those bags? At least 2 military-style assault weapons. Where was this caught? Not from a snitch, not from the feds, their own surveillance camera.
Have evidence of the defendant's co-defendants very clearly meeting at Sean Gathwright's house on his video camera, where they are loading up big bags that are definitely big enough to hold these assault rifles that were used in this case.
One of the most disturbing parts, Foolio's final hours, were basically live streamed by the man himself. He was on Instagram, posting clips from his birthday turn-up, showing where he was, who he was with, what he was doing, all while the people plotting on him were watching every move. Investigators say Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance, folks who were pretending to be cool with him, were really acting as lookouts. From the club, to the after party, to that hotel lot where it all ended. They was tracking him the whole time, acting friendly while setting him up.
Jones was in town celebrating his birthday and posted on his social media his locations several times throughout that night. Surveillance video was critical in this investigation, as suspects were seen on video following Jones from location to location.
The shooters didn't just roll up and start dumping. Nah, they parked across the street and waited. Watched. They were patient, moving like they had done this before. Then at 4:38 a.m., 3 of them slid out the car and crept toward the Home 2 suites. They were strapped, 1 with a handgun, 2 with rifles, locked in and ready. Then they let it rip. 31 shots tore through Foolio's SUV. It was a straight ambush. No warning, no mercy. 3 other people were in that ride too. They got hit, but somehow by the grace of God, they survived.
This barrage of gunfire also struck 3 additional victims who miraculously survived this incident. It's clear from that video what they were set out to do and what they had planned to do.
But why though? What could make 5 young people, including a pregnant woman, plan and carry out an execution-style hit in the middle of a public street? According to prosecutors and police, it all comes down to that same cycle: street revenge. They say one of the shooters had a brother, went by the name Spaz, who got killed by someone tied to Foolio's camp. And from there, it was on site. That loss lit the fuse, and they wanted blood back.
I think he had nothing to do with the murder though.
No, I mean, it's actually pretty ugly what happened, because one of the suspects, their brother, Spaz, was allegedly killed by one of Foolio's friends.
Yeah.
Foolio rapped about him, and I believe there's a video of him urinating on his grave.
There's multiple videos of Foolio dissing this.
I mean, I don't think Fio personally pulled the trigger on Spaz or anything. But the truth, this whole thing got ugly. See, one of the suspects had a brother named Spaz, and word is someone from Foolio's crew was the one who took him out. And Fio? Man, he didn't just rap about it, he mocked it. He put it in music videos. There's even a clip where someone, allegedly Fio or his people, is seen pissing on Spaz's grave. That ain't music. That's a declaration of war. So these 5, they didn't just roll out to Tampa to drop a diss track. They came with guns, bullets, burner phones, and a whole blueprint. But here's the twist. They wasn't slick about it. Matter of fact, they basically wrapped the evidence up with a bow and handed it to the police. Let's run it down. Alicia Andrews' phone was pinged from Jacksonville all the way to Tampa. hitting every location Fio touched that night. License plate readers caught the exact cars used in the ambush. Hotel surveillance cameras caught the crew moving in and out, right before and right after the hit. Forensics matched the shell casings from the crime scene to rifles they found in Rashad Murphy's house. One of these dudes even kept souvenirs, bullet fragments and shell casings, just sitting in his home like trophies. And if that wasn't enough, the text messages they found, some of them were straight up celebrating. One of them literally said, "I'm coming home. My thirst is finally quenched." That ain't just a message. That's a confession.
They were caught on license plate cameras. He used his mama's car. His mama said, I ain't had that car that my son had.
That's how bold they were with it. Rashad Murphy, especially, dude really thought he could outsmart the whole system. He tried to play slick, left his phone at home, but used everybody else's, like the feds wasn't gonna piece that together. Then, he made the wildest move yet. He told the court he wanted to represent himself. Even his own lawyer looked at the judge like, yo, this is straight madness. But Murphy stood on it. He said the jail conditions were so bad he couldn't even prep for his defense properly. And just when you thought that was the end of it, he pulled out another card, the insanity defense. Back in November, he told the court he was going that route. But here's the thing, legally that don't even make sense. You can't plead insanity when the evidence shows you spent days planning a hit, moving like a tactician, packing rifles, coordinating travel, sending play-by-play texts. That's not crazy. That's cold and calculated. That's the exact opposite of insane.
This guy's nuts. I think that's why. I mean, he wants to defend himself, which is insane in a death penalty case. And then he actually has said that he may use an insanity defense, which also is insane in itself when the facts show otherwise, that these guys had meticulous planning and attempts to cover up the crime. And when you have that, good luck in getting an insanity defense, because to sustain an insanity defense, you have to have an established medical condition and you have to not know the difference between right and wrong. But when you meticulously plan and then try to cover up your tracks, that shows you knew the difference between right and wrong. It shows you knew what you did was illegal. And when you want to just try to put forward an insanity defense as your own lawyer, it doubles the level of difficulty.
So yeah, Murphy's whole defense, it might already be dead before it even gets moving. And if he keeps pushing to act as his own lawyer, he might end up incriminating his co-defendants in open court live. That's got folks around the other suspects seriously panicking, especially Alicia Andrews. See, she's the only one who didn't waive her right to a speedy trial. And legal analysts, they think she might be cooperating with the prosecutors. And honestly, it would make sense. She's young, she's pregnant. She might just want to see her baby grow up outside the walls. If she flips, those dominoes could start falling real fast. But don't get it twisted. This story ain't over yet. Inside their jailhouse meltdown, when prosecutors laid all their cards out on the table, it was obvious somebody talked, and the whispers, they all pointed in one direction: Alicia Andrews. Andrews was just 21, pregnant at the time of the murder, and facing the same first-degree murder charges as the dudes who actually pulled the trigger. But here's what made folks start connecting dots. While the others stalled and delayed, she did the exact opposite. She asked for a speedy trial. Now in the courtroom game, that ain't just a bold move, that's a message. To the DA, to the judge, to the other defendants, I'm not waiting. I'm not taking the fall. Legal experts been saying it since day one. That move right there could be a warning shot or a quiet signal that she's cooperating.
And they just recently did it where the girl isn't waiving her right to a speedy trial and they believe she's gonna cooperate.
Right. Actually, one of my members, Kilcon RL, mentioned that. He said Alicia Andrews, who's the girl who's pregnant, she asked for a speedy trial, but the other three waived.
Right.
Waived that. So yeah, I guess that means she's cooperating now.
But what really sealed it wasn't just the paperwork. It was what came next. Alicia Andrews sat down and gave a full interview to police right after her arrest. No lawyer, no stalling. She started talking. She admitted to being there, and she walked detectives through their entire trail across Tampa. Every move, every stop. Now, she ain't say who pulled the trigger, but honestly, she didn't have to. She gave up enough details to put the whole crew exactly where prosecutors needed them. That interview might have just handed the state the blueprint to build this entire case.
Alicia, the girl, she gave an interview with police right when she got picked up. So she's already spoke to them and confirmed, oh yeah, we were here.
After that, investigators went straight to her phone, pulled the GPS history, and it told the whole story. They tracked the crew's path, from club to club, from the B&B to the hotel. Alicia might not have pulled the trigger, but she played the role of a modern-day recon scout, helping the killers follow their target both digitally and physically. It was like something out of a military op. Except this mission, it was reckless, it was senseless, and it left a man dead. But prosecutors ain't stopping it, Alicia. In a move that's got defense attorneys shook, the court just approved something major. Prior gang-related killings can now be used as evidence, not just background noise, but to show clear motive in this case. That changes everything.
I do find, generally speaking, that this is evidence that does help create motive and intent and explain the crimes charged.
See, the court didn't just look at this like one isolated hit. Julio Foolio's murder wasn't random. It was the climax of a long brewing war between some of Jacksonville's most dangerous rap crews, 6 Block, ATK, and 1200. And this wasn't no rap battle type beef. This was body for body, real street wars, where every diss track, every grave insult, every IG live came with consequences. Disrespect got paid back in blood. Andrew's boyfriend, he was allegedly tied to one of them rival cliques, and one of the shooters, he had a brother who got killed in the same feud. That brother's grave desecrated in one of Foolio's music videos. Yeah, that kind of violation. And the judge didn't throw any of it out. They allowed all of it into the record. The gang ties, the prior murders, the disses, the grave disrespect. Because this ain't just about one night in Tampa. This is about a war that's been brewing for years.
This is something in Jacksonville that is very well known. These videos, both by our victim as well as by the rival gangs, are posted immediately. It's in the public domain, and it details this long-standing feud.
Even worse, some of the shooters gave themselves up without even knowing it. Let's talk about Rashad Murphy. You already know about his wild moves, trying to fire his lawyer, claim insanity, and rep himself in a death penalty case. But what really shocked prosecutors was what Rashad left behind. Surveillance cams from his own house caught him, and the others packing up bags big enough to stash the same type of rifles used in the hit. And it gets worse. Rashad was slick enough to leave his phone at home, but he used other people's phones instead. The state subpoenaed those phones and traced them all through Tampa. One of the killers even paid for stuff using a cash app card, and police tracked it all down with purchase history and IP data. And Rashad, he was riding in his mom's car, caught on camera. When they asked her about it, she said, "Yeah, my son had it. That was game over." But the coldest part? After the hit, one of them texted, "I'm coming home. My thirst is finally quenched."
That's the same guy who, after the murder, allegedly sent out a text, "I'm coming home, my thirst is finally quenched." Like, it was a mission for him. So, I mean, if we're talking about motive, that's classic get back, right? Hey, his people did something to my brother. They kept laughing about it. They've desecrated his gravesite. This is a rapper who's been known to make videos at gravesite or laugh at the dead. Now we get to laugh at it.
A declaration, a celebration, a confession. This whole tragedy wasn't just about 5 reckless people. It was about a culture that turned funerals into marketing and death into content. Foolio was part of it too. He mocked dead ops, filmed at their graves, and in doing so, he lit a fuse that ended with his own name on a toe tag. The shooters? Just kids. One of them only 18, with a trail of alleged shootings dating back to age 17. What happened in 5 years that turned a boy on Twitch into a boy with a gun? Cops. They never stood a chance. The real tragedy? How preventable it all was. Social media became the new street corner, where threats come in captions and retaliation gets measured in likes and shares. Now, Florida law enforcement is on edge. They believe this war ain't over. There's still people out there. People with guns, with grudges, and now with martyrs. But the state? They're drawing the line right here. They want this case to send the message, from rap beef to life sentences. So what does it look like when a man watches his whole future disappear? When Hillsborough County brought those defendants into court one by one, reporters said it was like nothing they'd seen in years. This wasn't just a legal case, it was a reckoning. Sean Gathright, just 18, got told he'd spend the rest of his life behind bars. At first, he didn't flinch, but then they laid it out. Surveillance footage, firearm forensics, texts, cash app receipts, every piece of evidence stacked around him like a wall. Witnesses said he slumped forward, eyes locked on the floor, mouthing the same words over and over. "I ain't kill him. I ain't kill him." But in Florida, if you help plan a murder, even if you never touch the gun, you're just as guilty. And Sean, he wasn't just involved. He was caught on video prepping for the ambush. But it was Rashad Murphy who stole the show. For all the wrong reasons. Court started. Rashad stood up and fired his lawyer, again, despite every warning, judge, lawyer, even the prosecutor, telling him it was a catastrophic mistake. Rashad insisted on representing himself. It was like watching someone try to do surgery on themselves with a butter knife, live in court. He blamed jail conditions, said he couldn't send mail, couldn't call his lawyer, couldn't even prep his case. In a handwritten letter, he told the judge he was being treated like he was already guilty, but the courtroom wasn't buying it. To go to trial in Florida, especially in a death penalty case, you gotta be found mentally competent. And Rashad, he wasn't helping himself. He had already hinted at an insanity defense, even though prosecutors say he helped carry out one of the most calculated murders they'd ever seen. That contradiction alone killed any chance at leniency. Then came the collapse. As Rashad stood alone trying to cross-examine his own fate, he froze. His knees buckled. He dropped right to the floor. One bailiff rushed in. Another called a medic. His mama screamed from the gallery. The judge called a recess. No cameras caught it, but witnesses say Rashad broke down completely, trembling, sobbing, as the weight of that life sentence crushed him in real time. And while all that was going down, Foolio's mama sat in the front row, silent. She had watched people disrespect her son, blame him, dissect him, even say he brought it on himself. But later she told reporters, he was still my son, and he didn't deserve to die on his birthday. She'd seen the videos, she'd read the comments. But in that courtroom, all she had left to hold on to was the court's justice.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that there are innocent victims in every homicide case, the loved ones who are left behind. His fans knew him as Foolio. But to his mom, he's Charles. We're fighting to make sure that she gets justice.
But even justice felt cold, because what nobody talks about, what don't trend on Twitter, what don't go viral on TikTok, is what happens after the shooting stops, after the sentencing, when mothers go home alone, replaying that surveillance video in their head over and over, when a child grows up visiting their mama through a thick glass window, all because she followed a man who chased fame by chasing bodies. This case, it's the perfect tragedy of our time. Clout killed Foolio, loyalty buried the suspects, and TikTok turned it into entertainment. But there's one more chilling layer. Investigators now believe Youngin Ace, Foolio's biggest rap rival, might have known about the hit in real time. And in a twist nobody saw coming, DJ Academics revealed that police were kicking down doors, executing arrest raids at the same exact time he was live, interviewing Youngin Ace.
The moment Youngin Ace was sitting with me for the interview, the cops were raiding the guys. The exact moment. Everybody who got locked up for the murder, the 3 simultaneous arrests, happened exactly when he's talking to me. And I think, I don't know what his perspective is now, but his perspective is then, and maybe he just doesn't know anything. He was like, ain't nothing gonna come of this.
Whether Ace knew anything for sure is still unclear, but the symbolism? Yeah, nobody missed that, and neither did they miss what he was sipping on. A bottle of Don Julio sat right there on the table beside him, his drink of choice. Intentional or just a cold coincidence, the message hit hard. Don Julio, Foolio, toasted online. Now all we can do is wait. The trials are still moving. Alicia Andrews is expected to be the first to face a jury this year. Rashad Murphy's solo act might end in disaster or a last-minute plea deal. And the gang war that sparked all this? Yeah, it's still breathing. Cops are already on edge, bracing for retaliation. As one sheriff said, it ain't over.
Unfortunately, I think young people think this is a game. And, there'll be comments about this in the statement that I make, and they make it like it's a video game. It's not. This is real life. So he has a mother, he has parents, siblings, probably friends, and they have to deal with these kind of losses, and it's unfortunate. Now the next thing is these groups, I won't name them, they know who they are. We're not going to tolerate any retribution, any revenge. We're going to watch. We're going to be around paying attention to what's going on, but it's unfortunate. It should never happen, Tarek. It's and I've never seen so much devaluing of human life. It's like it's fun, and they talk about it in rap videos and songs, and it's just doesn't make any sense.
This case, it was never really about rap. It was about power, revenge, ego, and who gets the last post. Yeah, the courtroom spoke. But in a world where music videos feel like murder diaries and funerals get live streamed for clicks, who's really listening? If you felt this, go ahead and tap the next video on your screen. We got more just like this. Real stories, real truth.